Hey guys, how's it going? Today we are going to be spending some time in the Parterre garden right behind the Hartley. We've got a few things to do. We're going to tighten up the boxwoods beneath each one of these crabapple trees. When we did our trimming earlier this fall, there were still annuals in these planting areas, and they were kind of like flopped over the edges of these boxwoods. It was very hard to, well, we couldn't reach the interior part, and you can see that all the plants are fine, even though there were, annuals right up next to them. But it made it really hard to get in and trim the tops. And while it's not going to be a super clean, perfect job because these are still in their kind of growth phase, like their development phase, I think it'll make them look a little bit better. Tomorrow morning is supposed to get down to 29 degrees. So I do think we're going to toss some frost protection cloth over the top of them just for tonight, not for the following nights because we're not supposed to freeze any of the other nights. But I want to get that done today before we go in with our tulip bulbs, which you guys, we have 200 tulip bulbs for every single one of these sections. So we're going to plant 800 today. And if for some reason that goes really quickly, I would love to tackle the bulb planting in the end caps around the Hartley. But I want to walk around this area just to show you a couple plants first. First off, the boxwoods that we have back here are the green velvet variety, which I don't have a tremendous amount of experience with, but so far they've been doing really great for us. They have a little bit more of a narrow leaf than like your winter gems or like the independents that we have been using a lot of this year, but they stay a nice deep green and they tend to stay a little bit more on the green side in the winter as opposed to turning really bronze. And then right up above them we have the sparkling Sprite crab apples, and I chose these not only for their mature size, which is I think 10 by 10, maybe 12 by 12. Either way, they stay on the smaller side, kind of lollipop trees, but I also chose them for this crabapple color. I think that they are just so stunning, and you can see the fall color in here too, but they're all doing really well in this space, like really well. I don't know if it's just the year, but I feel like our crab apples have loaded up with more crab apples than normal. I mean, they're so beautiful. And the chickens are out and about, so you might see them in and out of the project today. And then let's take a look quick at the end caps because I'm hoping to get here today. So you might remember we had the Rockin' Deep Purple Salvia in here, and they got big. And I thought that I planted them far enough away from the boxwoods. I am thrilled to say that the boxwoods do not look damaged at all from the salvia being there. They're looking really good. And you can see that the cold frames have been cleaned out. We'll need to move our mangaves in, mangave/sedum. Isn't this just the prettiest? I think that the differing textures here is so nice. You've got that soft, cushiony green and then the spiky, icy blue. I just think it's so pretty. And that brings us to the other side. These boxwoods here were new this spring. I had to replace ones that were damaged from last year, so they're not as big as these over here, but I'm still going to tighten up the tops just a little bit, even though this side won't match this side for a while. Our containers are doing well. Coleus was cleaned out of this little pot right here. And the Delta Silver River is hanging on back here. The one we had out in the south garden, I think it actually just dried out a little bit too much, that with the cold, but these right here have just held on. They're looking so pretty. All right, let me show you what we're going to be using and then also the tulip bulbs. So we're going to use our hedge trimmers here. These are the DeWalt ones. It has a 22-inch blade. I don't even know if that's what you call it, blade. Anyway, makes for a pretty quick job of boxwood trimming. And then right back here we have our tulip bulbs. Now this blend is called Zephyr. It's a beautiful soft pink and white blend of tulips that are a mid to late season bloomer. So these will start blooming the same time our tulips in the east barn flower bed will start blooming. And then these will go a little bit longer. And they range in size from 18 to 24 inches tall. And they're already all mixed up in here, which is really nice. So I don't have to worry about, making sure I've got an even amount of whatever color. We're just going to end up with what we end up with. We're going to plant them pointy side up, flat side down. And I think I am going to use the 2-inch auger again today, right here, because I think that's going to be less messy and better around the roots of the crabapple. Okay, so let's get after the boxwood trimming first. Okay, first one is done. I just wanted to take a quick second to show you what I'm expecting it to kind of look like in the end. So I just kind of picked a point where I felt like it would be a nice level and tried to keep it at that level all the way around, even if some of them aren't tall enough. Like there's a lot of, open space here, and, a person could take it all the way down to that thicker growth. But I didn't really want to do a deep trim. I just wanted to tighten them up a little bit. And I do think that they look a lot better. So we're just going to carry on with that sort of method for the other 3 sections back here and then the end caps. All right, step 1 is done. They just look so much more tidy to have those scruffy tops taken off. And I did end up on the end caps over here taking the bigger ones down just a little bit further than I thought. They don't match exactly, but I feel like that helped bridge the gap a little bit. So this side looks more robust. This side just needs a couple, well, 1 growing season, possibly 2 to catch up with the others. But if we keep this one down, this one might catch up next year. Same thing on this side. My goodness. I'm glad to have something evergreen there though, even if they don't all look the same yet. And I think my approach for bulb planting is going to be the same as the other day when we planted the bulbs at the east side of the barn. I'm going to follow the exterior or follow the pattern of each one of these little sections. So I'm going to take the auger and dig holes here in a swoop there, and then follow this right here, and then we'll plant all of those, and then we'll come in and do the exact same thing over and over and over again until we reach the center. And as I'm thinking about it, the last time I planted tulips in here, the boxwoods were babies. They were little, and I was able to fit 200 in each one of these sections. I don't know that we're going to be able to fit that many in here. I have no idea exactly how it's going to go. If we have extras, we can always pop them out in the garden somewhere else. But I'm going to attempt to get my holes between 5 and 6 inches deep. We'll toss in a little bulb tone, plant the bulb, and so on and so forth. So let's get all 4 of these done. right, guys, we got the bulbs planted underneath the crabapple trees, and I think I'm gonna go do something else. I think we're gonna go clean out some annuals somewhere, because that's about all the bulb planting I want to do in a day. Now, I didn't end up planting all 800. In fact, each section has a different number, and I don't know how I achieved that. I thought I was spacing them about the same, but like one of these sections I had, what, 26 bulbs left, and then 5 bulbs left, 12 bulbs left, 20 bulbs left. Probably won't even be able to tell in the spring. They're going to be so loaded with color, it's going to be beautiful. So not a lot to show for our job today, other than the fact that the boxwoods look a little bit better, a little bit more tidy, and it won't be until spring. I think that's what bums me out about bulb planting so much. It is 0% instant gratification, but it is absolutely worth it. It's worth all of the effort. So yeah, I do end up loving it in the end, and I'm so very excited. So our little end caps we will save for another day. And I just have one little section of annuals I'd like to pull out. Now, in this area, I had ordered a tulip variety called Blue Amable, I think. It's kind of like this beautiful lavender, fluffy looking tulip. It was so pretty, but they didn't have the quantity like they thought they were going to, so they were not able to send that variety. So Zephyr was a sub in for that one, but I'm looking forward to it. I think it's just going to be gorgeous, especially with the pink purple blend we'll have across the lane right over there, pink and purple. And we can plop these bulbs somewhere else. We can enjoy them in a couple locations. All right, so let's head out to the south garden. All right, so here we are, South Garden. This is the little section of annuals we are gonna tackle. Now, they did come all the way to about here, and Amy, the other day, she tackled part of it and a whole bunch of other stuff. In fact, shout out to Amy for removing all of the annuals that were underneath the crabapples. I didn't even mention that before. She got that all cleaned out and ready for us, so that was really nice, and she had just a little bit of time at the end of the day and got a small section of this one done, so it's not gonna take me quite as long, but I loved this area so much. It was kind of one of those, like, I have these plants, I kind of like the look of them together, let's just throw them out here and see what they do. And it took them a while to kind of take root and to start pushing new growth and being really colorful, but once they did, it was such a spectacular show. You can see little remnants. So in the center is kind of the higher plant. I had the marshmallow bidens. There's a nice flower in there. And they're sweet little white flowers. This is the Rise Up Amberness Rose. Now, isn't that gorgeous? My goodness. And then below that, we have the Peachy Keen Superbena. You can see a little bit of color on that yet. And then the James Britannia called Safari Sky. It was just a very soft kind of pastel look, and I just really enjoyed it. And you can see the Arctic Fire Dogwoods just ready to go for it for wintertime. Beautiful fall color and the bright red stems. Already shining. But this is pretty straightforward. I'm gonna reorganize the gator here so I can fit stuff in the back, put on my gloves, and we'll just take after it. How much you want to bet Superbena comes back up in this spot next year? It just roots itself all over. So that right there was the mother plant. All of these came from that one. And they've just rooted themselves out. My goodness, once these plants took hold, they really took hold. All right, we are done. We can't fit anything else in here anyway. Got this area cleared out, looking nice and tidy, except for I need to bring the blower through. I don't have it with me right now, and I'm not gonna worry about it because it's getting late and I need to go start dinner. There are also, I don't know, like 4 or 5 bitins that just kind of popped off at ground level-ish. There's still a little bit of the plant left, and they are rooted in hard. But they will most likely die over the course of the winter, and then they'll just kind of fall apart, and we can plant right over the top of them. But I would not be surprised if we have a few things come back next year. I mean, you saw that Superbena. Every single one of them was like that. I could pull the big original plant out, and there were just tons of spots where it had rooted in again and again and again, trying to create new plants. It's a very vigorous one. But I would call that a productive day. I mean, getting the boxwoods pruned, tidied up, and then bulbs in the ground, annuals pulled. It's just about perfect. And the weather has been glorious today. In fact, when I started out there, when we very first started with the boxwoods, I actually felt like I could use a winter coat. Even though the sun was shining and there was really not much breeze to speak of, it was just fresh. It was pretty chilly. But once I started moving, I knew I would warm up. And now at this point, I feel like, oh, I could shed my vest layer, although it's so handy because I can keep my phone in it. I can keep my pruners in it. I keep gloves in there, my AirPod case, all of that stuff. I love having pockets again. I would miss that during the summer months. Plus, I'm gonna drive to the Dirtlands to dump this stuff off, and I'll get cold on the drive over. It's got that fresh, crispness to there. So you guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you're having a great fall, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.